Parliament, you want me to trust this 13th Parliament that approved SHIF, and you've seen even their most vocal, their most quote-unquote revolutionary voices are struggling to understand, but they passed it anyway. They've consistently passed anti-people laws, and therefore, then they've brought this Gachagua impeachment story. So it could go two ways, where he could get impeached. Of course, now we are looking at the Senate for what the true position is going to be. But what if in the next week, because you've seen the parliamentarians start to recant this, if they truly were men and women of their word, they would have said, we stick with this decision, the same way they stuck with the finance bill. But now we are seeing a shaky situation, and what if now a political solution arises? That's why I'm saying an indictment of the deputy president as well seems as though we are giving President Ruto the chance to now to punish anyone he wants unconstitutionally, because he's the one who's supposed to now, he'll still be the one to nominate or to appoint a deputy, and he will not have to go back to his party because that is a presidential mandate. So that's a confusion that I have, and that's why you hear a lot of youth voices saying impeach both. However, just a moment, however, constitutionally, if we cannot get both, I am happy to get Rigathi Gachagua alone, because it sets precedents of impeachment. Yes, it might open us up to a thing, but even this parliament that I do not have faith in, this 13th parliament, as a broken clock, it can be right 2 times. If they follow through, which they are not doing, and I need the people of Mount Kenya not to take this as a tribal attack. This is not a tribal attack. The governors who are stealing all across the countries, you elected them, they are your tribesmen and kingsmen, and they're still stealing from you. That's why we're saying this indictment, if it goes through, and the parliamentarians have already shown that they are not honest. They have tried to push this tribal agenda, and that's what now, that's the part which I'm really struggling with. So dialectically, the 13th parliament has not done anything for the people, but also I cannot support a demagogue. So that is an awkward position I find myself in. But dialectically, now I have to choose the
and
lesser
now
evil. Yes.
The public has an opportunity to give its views, and there is a schedule of public hearings that has been published actually by the National Assembly, and at least, you know, in every county there is a collection center. Dr. Isaac here is actually saying that, first of all, 1 day is not enough. The manner in which this public participation will be conducted is not efficient. The first panel that I had in studio this morning also talked about these collection centers a bit far from where Kenyans will be able to access it. Factoring in, there was a short notice that has been given, and at the same time, today is a weekday. You know, during elections, when we participate in very crucial exercises, it's usually more of a holiday. Actually, it's a holiday. And now, here today being on a Friday, will Kenyans get sufficient time? Talked into, of course, or about the whole issue of the public participation, the timelines, the manner in which it will be conducted.
So you see, and this is why I say sometimes inefficiency makes us settle for breadcrumbs. This is no public participation at all. Because remember, at what time is it coming? It is coming after parliamentarians have gone out to whip emotions under speculation. So the way this thing was presented to the public is kunanjama, that there is a certain ploy to remove Gachagua from office. It was politicized, and it was not, the people were not allowed to express their views. So the parliamentarians and the politicians walked around the country trying to talk about this. They whipped emotion on their social media, saying that the man is a tribalist. And then they slot a public participation on Friday. It is not a holiday, it is a work day. So the people who can attend, one, are either the unemployed, the people who do not have workplaces to go to, and it is denying a very crucial part, because then that means the people who cannot get a chance to go for leave cannot attend that physically. We are locking them out, a very important demographic, out of a very important exercise. 2, why is this the only issue that we are having public participation over? You know, I think that SHIF is a more important thing, but that we did not have public participation over. That would now you hand over to the chiefs. While people you know are not getting medication, people who are supposed to be undergoing dialysis are not, people are dying, and this is like a ticking time bomb. But we have time for this. Again, what you see that they gave us in the papers is an obvious indictment of all politicians. This is a template. If you see here, if you change the name Rigathi Gachagua from that paper and you type in the name Probably the only person who we might not fit here is maybe Okiya Omtata. And that is because we don't know. But this is an indictment of everyone. But if you're to think about it, it's almost skewed. And that's the crop of politicians that we have. So in terms of public participation, and this goes back now to my point of that, the 13th Parliament has failed the Kenyans. The presidency has failed the Kenyans in the sense that they only prioritize political agenda over the agenda of the true people. Because now you see, we will balkanize each other. We are forcing each other to go back to the tribal cocoons. Because now the people of Mount Kenya will be rallied and said, Munatoa mtoto wetu. Then they will say, at what point do we now think the president must, then ikiti lazima irudi either Mount Kenya East or Mount Kenya West. Then from the pool that they're giving us Waiguru as an option, which we know is a corrupt person. They're giving us allegedly corrupt, or otherwise. They're giving us Kithure Kindiki as an option who is not good either. They're giving us Kimani Ichung'wah as another option. They're giving us Ndindi Nyoro. We have no tangible option. So if they are going to impeach, so
would rather remain with Gachagua?
No, I'm not saying I would rather. That's why I'm saying we're in such a tight position because
we'd rather remain without a deputy.
We'd rather remain without a deputy, but then now see what does that mean? That the president now gets to go scot-free. Now you see this double bind which we find ourselves in.
Well, just to get to the, the details of, or the content and the nitty-gritties of this particular impeachment motion. In fact, 11 grounds were tabled by the Kibwezi West Member of Parliament, Mwengi Mutuse. And one of the grounds is on the 5.2 billion wealth that has been allegedly amassed by the Deputy President within a period of only 2 years. Listening.
His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua did declare that he was worth 800 million. We are aware that he's paid slightly over 1 billion, meaning that for the last 2 years, the much he could have accumulated justly is about 24 million. But I would demonstrate before Kenyans that he has properties to himself, the ones that I was able to get in my time of research, worth 5.2 billion Kenya shillings. I will also be demonstrating before Kenyans that His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua has committed international crimes. The ground of gross misconduct, I will be able to speak to the House in a very clear manner as to what constitutes gross misconduct as interpreted by our own courts. And I will be able to show that the person of the Deputy President is a bully.
And already that elicited reactions with some members from Murang'a County also speaking into the impeachment motion that is now before the National Assembly.
Gana na Constitution Article 118 pamoja na Article 150. Bas, before tuingie kwa impeachment, tunatakiwa kwenda public participation kwa sababu hivyo ndivyo Article 118 imesema.
Participation and involvement is very critical. Hawajakuwa involved na wakazi wetu wamesema ya kwamba hiyo mambo ya impeachment motion, they are not behind it. Sisi kama watu ya Murang'a County tumesema ya kwamba we will not support it, na tukiomba wabunge ambao wameingizwa katika hii maneno ni waombe tafadhali waweze kuondokea tafadhali. Tuende.
Sisi tulifanya hivyo na tulimpea kwa roho yote. Tunaomba rais wetu tu tafadhali, kama Rigathi Gachagua ashawahi kukosea, tunakuomba kwa jamii yetu, kuna wazee waite, muongee, Rigathi atatubu, na kama ni deni, sisi ni wafanyikazi, tutamripia.
Mimi naamini bado anaweza kuingilia ili kwamba amuokoe mdogo wake ama naibu wake Rigiji. Mara tena rais wetu akomeshe, asimamishe mswada huu, kwa sababu utamharibia nafasi yake mlimani. Wana mlima watakasirika sana.
What I would tell my friend Gachagua, with a lot of humility and respect, I would ask him just to resign quietly, plan his game again, and not force all these kind of hulabalus we are going to hear. Let's talk about how shall we make Kenya a better place. We are aware there were pre-election deals. If we didn't have a deal, we didn't have a deal. The next elections will have proper deals.
Dr. Isaac, the grounds of impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. One, that of course, on corruption and money laundering. 5.2 billion Kenya shillings is what is believed the DP has amassed. But then, Must we have waited for an impeachment motion for us to start investigating such matters? And also, is Parliament the best place to take these? Should it have been taken to the Ethics and Anti-Corruption or the courts?
Do we have a complainant first, in the first case, other than the parliamentarians telling us that this is what we suspect he has acquired? You know, in governance, there are principles of accountability, which is every step that we want to take must be backed by evidence. And there are institutions we are paying as Kenyans on their daily operations as well as their salaries, who are mandated to carry out such activities. So when someone comes out and say, the reason as to why we are impeaching you is because we are suspecting that you have acquired wealth within a short period of this amount. Right. How many Kenyans who are in leadership, including the CSS who have been just, you know, they were appointed into a period of 1.5 years and immediately reported that they had an increase in their wealth of more than 100 million or 200 million. So have they been asked where this money they have accumulated coming from? Basically, so there are some things that are very crucial in terms of pointing out exactly why you want to carry out certain impeachment. But my conscience tells me that if you must accuse me for certain thing, there are procedures which are set in place. For example, do we have EACC? Yes, we do. Have they done their mandate? Have they done any investigation? We have not been informed. If they did, then it will have been the source of the, you know, the initial source of the accusation. Now, we do not have anyone who has, for example, let me ask you one thing. How shall we prove if Gachagua is taken to court tomorrow? How will you going to prove? Will you going to get people from somewhere to come and prove that he has got wealth? You want to do audit of his account? So the principal objective of the impeachment should be anchored on facts. And if these are facts, then these facts are going beyond Gachagua. There are quite a number of leaders, there are quite a number of office holders in the government who fall within the suspicion of Gachagua's case. And therefore, as our young man has put it forward, it is important for us to understand exactly what next. If Gachagua is accused of the same and he goes impeached and he is ousted out of his office, then we have a window of bringing all those others whom we suspect within the government circle that they should also be questioned in regards to how they have accumulated their wealth. So, in principle, I don't dispute the evidence that they have put there, but this evidence will have been packaged much better in terms of how Kenyans should view. We are all suspicious that every government office holders have stolen a lot of wealth. Let me give you an example. Governors have never had a lot of money. Now they are the billionaires in Kenya. We have 47 billionaires in this country who have been earning more than at least give them $1 million per month, and now they have billions. Where does that money comes from?
Unexplained wealth.
Unexplained wealth. Do we question them? Auditor General, Budget Controller have flagged those issues several times. I have not at any one time had Deputy President Gachagua being flagged to have mismanaged resources in his office. And therefore, that would have been a source of, you know, the initial case, presentation of his case. But looks like they are the ones which we already have reports within the system who have not been brought to offices and they have not been ousted out of their offices. But these ones whom we know that they have not come out very clearly have been tabled. So we wait and see. I'm not saying he's clean. You must understand this. I'm not saying he's clean. But I think we must not politicize processes of accountability if we want to achieve proper result in terms of what next for anyone who is found to be misusing public resources.
Ondiek, For one to establish that the Deputy President could have amassed wealth about 5.2 billion within 2 years, that's not something that Mwengi Mutuse could really piece up within a very short period. Could state agencies be behind this, that he uses such information, perhaps garnered from the likes of NIS, which at some point the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, you know, castigated their boss? Because even looking at the whole document, there are even images that are there. Others argue this is a document from the intelligence services.
Yeah, thank you, Chacha. One, I want to tell you that a member of parliament has got a duty to even get information from anywhere, including NIS, any in central bank, because they have oversight duty. And so when he proceeded to get information from anywhere, I believe that that department, when called upon, shall properly corroborate the information that he has.
So it's not being used for political reasons,
and if
or political witch hunt.
And if it is political witch hunt or not, it is subject to that institution to maybe either confirm or fail to confirm the information that the member of parliament has. Because I believe that if we really want our members of parliament to work, I believe, let me say what Kasmuel said, that we might have had issues with parliament, but at least for this time, maybe they are doing something right for the first time. It might be the first time that they are doing this. Like I want to defend parliament today on this public participation, because basically the constitution requires public participation. Maybe because of time and maybe the vastness of the country, the parliament itself and the institution of parliament could not go, but the members of parliament form part of the institution of parliament. And if they are going to do that public participation, the only challenge we are going to give parliament is that going forward, we want to see such kind of serious public participation on any activity, including anything. But when you talk about the allegation...
But they're saying it's costly. For instance, for this one, it might cost taxpayers about 87 million Kenyans.
And that one, and Kenyans must be ready, if they want public participation, as court has always insisted, they must be ready to spend that money every week, because we have several bills.
Maybe the concern will be provided with the views will be put into consideration.
You always let me construct my point so that I deliver.
Is it the courts that are demanding, or it's our constitution that demands public participation? Can you put that very clear?
The courts interpret the constitution, and the constitution demands that there be public participation.
Correct.
And the courts ensure it is done. So it is also our courts demanding on behalf of the Constitution, because they are the ones who speak for the Constitution. And Judge, now what I was telling you about the allegation on serious reasons to believe that the Deputy President has committed economic crime. If you look at my form, and I want to be very honest to you on this debate, Kasmuel will confirm.
This man has marked everything.
Kasmuel will confirm. Kasmuel will confirm.
Yes, marked all the 11
everything. I know. I've said
no
to this crime because I can't confirm it, I can't recheck it, because I have no capacity to read or know. And then bullying.
And bullying
I've also refused, because I don't know who was bulled. I've not seen him bullying anyone. But when it comes to issues to do with him declaring the mountain, I have seen it on television, I've seen it everywhere. When I see him defending everything which is tribal, I've seen it. So I have a right as a Kenyan, and I believe Kenyans will read these allegations. You can agree, but even in court, my brother, when you are having 9 counts, when you are charged with a criminal case, and you have 9 counts, you may be acquitted in 3, but you are still
over the majority.
Yeah, you still find yourself jailed. Because
so the issue here, especially where you see, for that one, it's very clear, but others are just violation of the Constitution, violation of Article what. For Kenyans, for Mama Mboga, are they able to interpret that without even a lawyer?
For the first time, there is no Kenyan who doesn't understand English or Kiswahili. The Deputy President, that is supposed to be an assumption, because when every official communication in the country is done in English or Kiswahili, it is a legal assumption that they must understand it. But what I'm saying, the deputy president has not been speaking only in Kikuyu. He has been speaking in English and Kiswahili, which every Kenyan can listen to him, gets to interpret that now huyu jamaa.
So in your opinion, it's not too technical for someone to comprehend?
Okay, are you saying that our constitution is too technical for Kenyans to comprehend?
Kasmuel, on the ground.
Yeah. On the grounds.
Yeah, on the grounds that to the table, of course, including the 5.2 billion allegations of unexplained wealth.
Yeah, this is how you know that the country is in serious trouble, that I don't even feel like interrupting Kennedy. And I'd come here knowing that whatever he says, it was on the other side. I totally agree. And as you can see in his analysis, even in the way he's filled the form, he is fair in the sense that he has said there are things which we publicly know. Like that thing for bullying, when you mark no, we've not seen. We do not know because we are not in parliament, we are not in the corridors of power. All we can do is hearsay. But all these other counts, these are counts which I can see from the public. But then it is also unfair for us to assume, to impose ignorance upon Kenyans. That is a different indictment, that then we need to do better in terms of education. But where do you think we, the educated people, come from? Are we not children of mothers? Are we not the first generations who went to school? We talk to our parents, not that now we've preserved political education here for television and we don't talk to them. So Kenyans generally understand what these counts are. However, for a person who does not understand it, if you think about even in terms of elections, and you know, if we actually took care of our constitution, it would have made it way easier for us to have good leaders. If you think about Article 8, which talks about, let me not even talk about Article 8, let's talk about Article 99, which talks about disqualification. And that is also tied to Article 2, which says, for you to be disqualified to vie for office, all possibilities of appeal must be exhausted. So if you're convicted of a crime, you should not be able to appeal. That's how you don't make it there. And Kitambo, it used to be that if you had been jailed for 6 months, you are ineligible for running for office. Generally, if you think about Article 73, it's supposed to be about suitability. You're supposed to bring honor to the nation and dignity to the office. Therefore, even without public participation, you should be able to go and ask on the roadside, does this person, you know, if someone calls you a tribalist and you're the deputy president, if someone calls you a murderer or a looter and you're the president, is that bringing honor to the office? Constitutionally, even without public participation, those should be grounds enough for you to be unsuitable for office. But these are things which you're supposed to sort out before elections. But we've gotten so low to the point where we say, huyu ni mwizi lakini ni mwizi wetu. So this is also an indictment to the public. Let us not feign ignorance, because now this is also a Nairobi problem. We Nairobians believe that people in the village are the ones who are supposed to get civic education. But it is those people in the village that you despise that elected Okiya Omtata, for example. Here in Nairobi, you know who you elected for governor. Here in Nairobi, you know who you elected for MPs. The people, like, that education is not even more civic education that we need. We need political education. In terms of public participation, yes, it might be costly, but there are more sustainable ways. This thing is a 2-pager. If I want to get 2 pages, I could just ensure that we have reams of paper which you can get for free, and ensure that for every bill, we prepare those kinds of things. It does not have to be that expensive. I don't know why we need to make public participation seem like such a task. If anything, we've been organizing town halls. Us getting to the street was the highest form of public participation, because these were things that were brewing, one, on social media, on spaces, on barazas. There are various ways for us to prosecute this thing. However, we cannot impose ignorance upon the Kenyans. We cannot say that this thing is too difficult. Anyone can see. If you know a tribal remark when you hear a tribal remark, because a deputy president cannot sit and hold a rally in the central business district and speak to Kenyans in Kikuyu. That alone is exclusion, because that makes me think, so am I not supposed to hear what you're saying? So that, in that regard, and that's why I was saying, there is a sinister political motive that is happening, and we can read into it.
Well, even as this whole matter is ongoing and the MPs today are on the ground, while the motion was tabled in the National Assembly, there were concerns of security for MPs, security of President William Ruto. And this is what the members said, even as we focus, of course, on their security today, even as they will be meeting Kenyans to help them or to mobilize them, participate in this removal from office of the Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua.
Not only do we have to protect the lives of 291 members of parliament who have appended their signature there, we must also protect the system. The IG must protect our president to the hilt. Any reckless thug can decide to change the course of history if, God forbid, anything were to happen to our president.
We have seen it on social media. We have been told by certain quarters that before March of 2025, they say bendera itapepea mlingoti nusu. Honorable Speaker, these are weighty issues. We are not dealing with an ordinary matter. We are not dealing with an ordinary man. We are dealing with a black man with a very black heart.
And let us not fight. Let us not begrudge anyone, because what the House is doing is constitutional, because the House is just exercising its mandate. It's not doing anything outside the Constitution.
Dr. Isaac, is it possible the security of President Ruto could be in danger because of this motion?
No, I don't think so.
Does it translate to Rigathi Gachagua being that dangerous and he could even go ahead and harm the president?
In political view, it could be very true. But I don't think in terms of
maybe that's the reason we've not seen the president now moving in different parts of the country.
Not as such. I mean, when there's such thing going on in terms of impeachment of your deputy, I don't think if it is worth for the president to move around, talk about what, because Kenyans will want to know his position in regards to the impeachment. And yet, for him, he's neutral in this case, simply because this is a business of parliamentarians. And therefore, as an executive, he will keep himself aside so that he does not manipulate or interfere with the parliamentarian system. I think, in essence, that is what is every leader is expected to do. But in terms of security or security law, I don't think so. I think our members of parliament will want to exaggerate things and create a bit of tension. According to me, our security systems are very able to protect VIPs. We know very well that they put always measures in place when there are certain issues of public concern that is on the floor. And therefore, I think the fact that the other time our Gen Z, our young men have accessed the parliament, probably they have developed a bit of fear. And the fear of unknown always revolves around when you experience certain issues in a certain time. But I know very well, currently our security system has been beefed up. We know there are leaders of the security apparatus who have who are in control now. From when the Gen Zs were on the corridors of in the streets, and now there are quite a number of people who have been, leadership has been changed. You know very well there is the new DIG for National Police Service, Kenya Police Service. You know the new DIG who is Administration Police Service, and we know the new IG who has been previously the DIG for Kenya Police Service. These people are people who understand exactly what they are expected to do in terms of ensuring that our leaders' security and their lives are secured. And therefore, at any one time, that is a political statement. When our colleagues, our members of parliament are saying that their life is in danger, I think that is politicizing and trying to strengthen the situation so that they feel like they should not be bullied by the supporters of Deputy President Gachagua.
Kennedy, on the security concerns that have been raised on the floor of the House, in fact, by a majority leader. Ondiek?
I wanted to start by saying that sometimes our members of parliament, those are overtones, which are sometimes not necessary. The truth is that they have a duty to do, and they cannot pretend that if this is a duty they are doing, that it's a very serious duty. They are impeaching an individual who has a duty in respect of the Constitution. And as they said, they are doing their constitutional duty. And I believe that, as they have always done, unless the other duties they have been doing have never been constitutional, that they have never been calling for security. But I believe members of parliament have got security structure. They have police officers who are assigned to them, and they have their security personnel who are even personal. So I really want to say that sometimes that was merely political statement. And in
for
fact,
the president,
it came, pardon?
For the president, the security for the president.
No, the president has a security, but you see, when the country is facing such a kind of turmoil, sometimes it's necessary to boost. Even when they were demonstrating, there was security boosted along procession way everywhere. So when there is a situation in the country, even in the United States, when the president feels threatened, that's why they have the special forces to deal with that. So I want to say that that is their constitutional duty, and they are always taken care of according to the constitution because they have police officers in charge of their security. Even myself, I'm talking about the deputy president being impeached here. Do I have security officer hanging around me? Why is my life not important to them?
We are due for a commercial break, Kennedy. Just to cut you short.
Okay.
Kasmuel, we are coming back, of course, to this conversation. Kasmuel, in 30 seconds or less, on the security concerns that have been raised, especially in the president.
I think it would be unfair. Let me donate this minute so that Kennedy can finish prosecuting, because 30 seconds is little. Because, you know, I have an opinion on Farah Mali, I have an opinion on Ichungwa, so let him prosecute.
Or actually, my director, Joanne, advises that we take a break first of all. When we come back, of course, we'll pick it up from there. And also activate our regions. We have our reporters already standby. That is Boniface Msangi from Mombasa, standby. Alos Msoka Kwale, Timothy Simo from Eldoret, Election Odera Machakos, and also other regions. Remember, this is the wall-to-wall coverage as far as the removal from office of the Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua public participation exercise is concerned. We'll be right back, but also keep your views streaming in the social media platforms at K24 TV, at Joel Chacha, as well as SMS and WhatsApp numbers on the bottom of the screens. I'll be sampling them before wrapping up these special focus on Gachagua's impeachment motion. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.